How's it going, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Okay, so the psychologist Erich Fromm, in his book, The Anatomy of Human Destructiveness, has this great line. It goes like this. It goes, "Death is no longer symbolically expressed by unpleasant smelling feces or corpses. Its symbols are now clean, shining machines." In other words, in our modern technological world, death no longer announces itself in the form of decay or in the image or touch of a mutilated body. But instead, what's happened is that it's been symbolically transformed into smooth, mechanized systems and machines. Okay, but what does that mean? Well, I think what Fromm is partly getting at is that our technology has sanitized death. We've sanitized death by displacing its organic, messy reality into mechanical symbols. For example, in his book, he talks about planes dropping bombs, but we can just update this to drones. So we now use drones to kill thousands, but without really emotionally comprehending what we're doing. We're at such a distance, and the machines are so sleek and so clean and so precise that death itself just becomes that clean, abstract thing. Death shines with the cleanness of machines. Okay, but I think what Fromm also means to say is actually something much deeper and much more pervasive. What he means to say is that modern society has an orientation that favors what he calls necrophilia. Now, by necrophilia, he doesn't mean something like sexual perversion or some sort of fetishism with respect to corpses. No, for Fromm, our necrophilia is something much larger. It's really about an entire psychological orientation with respect to life. It's an orientation towards life that prefers order to spontaneity, and manipulation to natural growth, and mechanical precision to organic vitality. It's an orientation that prefers machines over people and mechanical precision over the messy human qualities of life. It's expressed by the man who spends more time with his car than his wife, or by the corporation who judges their worker only by productivity metrics and not by their creativity, or by dating apps that do away with all unpredictability in favor of the mechanical logic of algorithmic compatibility, or by old age institutions where life's natural cycle is hidden from the public behind sterile walls and where healthcare professionals are outsourced to do the loving work of a family or community. Or by architects that privilege glass towers and grids and symmetrical and sanitized playgrounds over organic and irregular forms. Or by AI systems evaluating job applicants rather than it being the work of human judgment in the context of human proximity. Or by the iPhone, through which we view nature by way of filtered pictures and landscapes, and where real human faces get reduced to uncanny, smooth, shining surfaces. Now, what all this expresses for Fromm is our necrophilous orientation, which is our sick, unconscious desire for death. It's a desire for death in the sense that it's a way of approaching the world that seeks to eliminate anything that characterizes life itself. And what is life itself? Well, it's characterized by things like vulnerability and unpredictability and spontaneity and emotion and vitality and growth and human messiness and human decay. But, says Fromm, our necrophilous attitude fears these things. We don't want fluidity, and we don't want human confrontation, and we don't want smells and blood and age. And so we try to freeze or eliminate these things through machines and systems and sterile environments. And this is how the mechanical, the smooth and shiny objects, this is how they express our love of death, our love of non-living instead of the living. This is why Fromm says that our contemporary society's symbols of death are clean and shining objects. It's because what we ultimately worship is a kind of lifeless perfection, and so a world without nature and without the human. Okay, now speaking of smooth, shiny objects, Fromm isn't the only person to take up this sort of theme. It's also something talked about by the contemporary philosopher Byung-Chul Han. That is, he also talks about our society today as one obsessed with smoothness, or as he calls it, the society of smooth surfaces. And he also takes this to be a necrophilic obsession, but in particular, one that takes the form of abolishing all resistance and roughness. And by this, he mostly means the abolishing of the other, namely, what is not me. You see, what the presence of the other does is it introduces friction and depth into our lives, and it takes us out of ourselves. All really good things. But again, we don't want this, and so we dissolve everything into the same through smoothness. Smoothness eradicates the wrinkles and the marks and the uniqueness of another that introduce resistance and depth into our lives. So again, our worship of the smooth and the polished, it's also ultimately a necrophilia because it mistakes the absence of resistance and pain for the presence of life. But a resistance-free life is no life at all. Real life for Han, well, that requires genuine encounter with what is strange and resistant and negative, and with things that are not like me. Life, in other words, is defined by disruption and alterity, not smoothness and sameness. Anyway, at the end of the day, I think we can say that both Fromm and Han come together in diagnosing a society that worships the clean and the smooth and fetishizes the mechanical. And they both detect in that the antagonism towards life that underlies it. Both of them would say that in our attempt to escape decay and the messiness of life, we have created a mechanized world that shines, but shines with a kind of lifeless perfection. The bottom line is that for them, to try to eliminate mortality and the spontaneity and messiness of life is ultimately necrophilic. It's to create a lifelessness that we're trying to escape. To get our humanity back, we have to remember how to live with the messy and the mortal. We have to embrace the very decay that the shiny machine denies us. Bye for now.